Hello and welcome to the Dead Air Dude. I'm Izzy.
I'm Raka. Hello, Dead Dudes Nation,
Hello,
and
hello.
welcome to a nice warm end of January 2023.
Yeah, and we're back with you with another Hollywood rapid fire, except this time James Gunn in DC has come out of their cave and decided to regale us with some new and finally a plan of attack or plan of action or just a plan for the future of the DCeu, the TV shows, animated series, etc., etc., etc. Now, he actually went out on social media and did a whole spiel. This is happening. This is happening. We're doing this. We're doing that. I mean, that's quite entertaining, and I give him kudos for actually doing it himself instead of just putting out a bunch of talking heads and some just reports out there, or leaking
Well,
stuff.
it's about time, right? Because for a long, long time, between The Rock, between firing Henry Cavill and a whole bunch of other casts, and just scrapping the whole present day DC universe, he hasn't said a word. All we heard were leaked reports, rumors, hearsay, nothing of any concrete, tangible, or believable stuff. So it is about time, and you can't let it linger. It's a good thing that he came out and addressed it.
Yeah, all he did was he was pretty active on Twitter and he answered a couple questions, started some ruckus, and But as far
Oh,
as
he went on Mustville.
yeah, as far as really delving deep into what us as fans we really want to hear, first of all, he started off and he spoke about the four projects that are coming out. I do believe this year from DC. As we all know, first of all, we have Shazam, um, or the Fury of the Gods. You know, the trailers out there. So, I mean, the first one was okay. Let's see what happens with this one. Flash. It was called Flashpoint. Now I think it might be called Flash. He says he saw it. He says it's freaking amazing, great. It's the movie with the Ezra Miller debacle, and that it's supposed to, I guess be a game changer, quote unquote.
Well, hold up right there. Flashpoint, as far as the comic books, is a game changer.
Yes. Now, it was called Flashpoint originally. He mentioned Flash. Now, not sure if he was changing the name or trying to change the I don't know. This is straight from the horse's mouth, proverbially from James
I
Gunn.
mean, from a lot of comic book heads, myself included, hoped that Flashpoint would have been what brought the Justice League together in the either one or either two or three of the sequels following it, where I'm not spoiling for anybody, but as a comic book person knows that it kind of brings full circle dark side and the evil that's coming and resetting and in the timeline and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So
Eh, You know,
we'll see. The third, which we've heard about, which is the Blue Beetle, starring Sholo. I forgot it. I can't pronounce his last name. I don't mess up by Madureña. I do believe it is actually from Cobra Kai, and it's going to be. Don't quote me on this, but probably the first Latino or Latinx superhero in movies.
yes, I heard of that.
So but it's start the story. It introduces the story of Jamie Reyes and so on and so forth. So, and lastly, we have Aquaman 2, which has been delayed and finally will be coming out sometime this year.
Now, is Aquaman 2 still going to have Jason
Oh,
Momoa as
yes.
the character?
All we do know,
Obviously, Amanda Heard is X'd out of it.
yes. Not sure who will play Mera or if even Mera is in the movie, but Now, getting on to what the current the future news is. Okay, Gunn, he went with four writers and they have a 8 to 10 year game plan to
Wow.
set the continuity of the DCEU, and I guess try to catch up to Marvel, or try to be on the same playing field. All
Well,
right.
that's what Marvel did too. I mean, they're going on what, 15 plus years?
Well, so I think for Phase 5 is coming up, I guess, right?
Yeah, but from the inception of Iron Man, that's it's longer than 10 years
Well, yeah,
by far.
yeah, it's. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to misspeak, but 25, 26 movies and like, geez, like 6 shows and whatever else. All right. And the first chapter, I guess, or phase, they don't call it phase, but first chapter is going to be called Gods and Monsters. Okay. And we have 10 items here. Okay. First, we're going to start with the Creature Commandos, which is going to be an animated series written by Gunn already. He already wrote the episodes, and it looks like it's going to be fun. But he only showed a couple snippets and pictures, which we'll post up on the podcast and everything, so you guys can watch it for yourselves. And yeah, he didn't give any dates for this except for the third one, which I'll mention right after two. Two is called Waller. At least for now, it's called Waller, which is a spinoff of Peacemaker slash
Amanda Waller, right? The
Waller's character played by Viola Davis, and it's going to have Peacemaker characters. He did not mention if it was going to be Peacemaker himself, which I doubt, because Cena's a busy guy. And
well, good thing they retained her because I don't see anybody else executing that role.
At this point, she essentially is the Nick Fury of the DC.
Yeah.
I mean, not the same, but essentially. So,
And she's head of the undercover ops world, also apparently in charge of all superhero activity.
yes. So we'll see how that goes. And this is the beginning, as he put it, the beginning of the DCEU proper, which he said he's in the midst of writing it. Superman Legacy, which is going to be the reintroduction for the fourth, fifth, seventh time of the newest or the latest Superman, and was going to lead us into the future of the DCEU. It's going to come out on July 11th, 2025.
Well, there's something to look forward to in 2 years.
I mean, unless we get to in all out war, but that's besides the point. We're not going to get into that. All right. Now we get introduced to the first series on HBO Max called Lanterns, which will introduce the Green Lanterns as what they are,
the Corps.
He didn't mention the Corps. I'm not sure why he did not. He just said Lantern. There's a bunch of lanterns, in particular John Stewart and Hal Jordan, who he compared it to True Detective, and how these two lanterns, they preside over the precinct of Earth, and they discover something pretty effed up that leads into the big bad, or into the future of the DCEU. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Silence is
True
just
Detective
is ominous. So
I mean, I guess he's trying to skirt any comparison to Marvel.
Oh yeah,
I thought I was gonna go with like the Nova Corps or some shit like that. But
trying real hard. But the Green Lantern Corps was around before the Nova Corps. And the Nova Corps essentially is a ripoff of, or inspired by, or an homage to the Green Lantern Corps. We all know that. It's fine.
And I know, and I was a Green Lantern fan since I was a kid.
Hey, I'm a Green Lantern fan. Oh, well, yeah, I'm a Green Lantern fan too.
No, I know you have a tattoo of it, which you cannot disclose right now on public TV. But
only you could say you could check out my OnlyFans and watch it in private.
Yes, you could check out Izzy's fan only page.
So now another interesting tidbit was the fact that he mentioned that these 10 properties, or 10 items, or 10 films, or will it's in the proper continuity of the DCeu. Now, everything previously and including what's about to come up, like Batman 2 or Batman Part 2 by Matt Reeves with Robert Pattinson, that's a DC Elseworlds story. Now, for all you guys that don't know, you guys and gals that do not know, Elseworlds is essentially kind of like what if.
Multiverse.
Yes, it's the multiverse thing, exactly.
Earth 616.
Exactly. That it's out of the realm of the continuity within the new DCEU. That includes Teen Titans Go, that includes the Batman Part 2, and includes the Joker with Harley Quinn, played by Lady Gaga. But
Now,
that musical.
was there any mention to any reimagined characters?
Reimagine in what sense? What do you mean?
Well, in light of today's present day culture and a lot of updating,
Right.
characters have been gender swapped. They have been
Rocco went there. Oh, Rocco went there. Uh-oh.
They've been culture swapped. They've been
No.
ethnic swapped, and I think for an inclusion protocol going forward seems to be blanketing everything. Anybody can say what they will for it. I mean, you're going to have your conservatives that are staunch, religiously tied to canon, to the very literal word, and then you have more progressive thought where, okay, that was yesterday. We're doing it today for today's relevant crowd. Let's make it more relevant.
Yeah, no, nothing of that was mentioned, but which leads into my next or the next movie on tap is The Authority, which is a superhero team that from Wildstorm, which was I guess an offshoot of DC, or actually I think DC actually bought it, but nonetheless, and it's kind of like an Avengers slash Justice League, but they react. I mean, I'm not going to say it's as crazy as The Boys, but it's kind of different. Okay. And the big claim to fame, I know people are gonna knock me on this, but one of the biggest things that people always, talk about, and it jumps out at you, is the fact that I do believe you have Apollo, who is their Superman type character, and Midnighter, I do believe his name is their Batman type character, and they're in a relationship. So
Okay. I mean, I guess he won't divulge everything. Depends on how far along on their timeline that they are in their internal workings. Also depends on what they want to divulge, whether they already know or not.
no,
Why
but
spill everything? I
that
understand that.
obviously
Good,
something
got a
mentioned
good question though.
inclusivity and everything that you know enters the
Now,
LGBT community.
Gunn
Yeah,
Gunn directed a whole bunch of movies, right? And he also did Peacemaker the series, but he's not going to assume step down to actual direct.
I
He's
don't.
overseeing all the projects and being in charge leadership wise.
He mentioned writing stuff. He did not mention about directing anything.
Because I mean, I don't know how you I mean, I know how you feel. I don't know how most of the public feels, but the Peacemaker series was very different than Marvel series in the sense that it pushes envelopes,
Yeah.
it gets real, it's fast paced, it's in your face, it's not PC.
No.
And unapologetically so for humor and to drive the storylines of characters who are more realistic in the sense they're not cookie cutter.
Yeah, but he mentioned nothing of Peacemaker, so that will be
Oh
coming.
darn.
I do believe, but who the hell knows? And speaking of inclusion, and I'm pretty sure that as there's been much talk about Wonder Woman and her past and Themyscira and the island full of Amazons and their, preferences and relationships and everything. Well, there's a series called Paradise Lost, which is basically all about Themyscira and Paradise Island and whatever else, and the lives and loves and everything else about the Amazons. So we know that's going to be probably, who knows? I mean, I hope they keep it a little more action based as opposed to a soap opera stuff, but we'll see. Next, Brave and the Bold, which will introduce the DCEU's version of Batman, which will not be Robert Pattinson and will not be Michael Keaton and will not be Christian Bale and will not be Val Kilmer and will not be George Clooney and definitely will not be Ben Affleck.
Best guess, you think he's going to be a dark, twisted, conflicted soul, or he's going, maybe more like an animated Batman where he's not conflicted. He just always has to hold back from crossing the line.
He's gonna have the black eyeliner and the guy.
The voice. Is he gonna have the Batman voice?
But one thing that could be interesting, or could be a magnificent flop, is the fact that it's going to be Batman and Robin, but not regular Robin. It's going to be Damian Wayne in all of his assassin, annoying little shit glory. So we'll see how that goes. Number 8 is Booster Gold, which should be a TV show of the lovable loser from the future. I mean, he's hard to describe. I mean, he's like a cult hero that people really enjoy, but he's not a mainstream DC character. But hey, we'll see. Neither was Blue Beetle, but here we go. But yeah, here we are. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, based on the comic series of the same name. What can I say about it? If it's anything like the comic, it should be okay, but I don't have any faith that it will be that way. So, and last but certainly not least, we have Swamp Thing, which he mentioned.
Awesome.
A horror-based story on the other side of the DCEU, but will still have ramifications of the DCU. Okay. Now, a couple of the tidbits from other from DC, from the DCEU news, from the aforementioned Batman Part 2 is coming out October 3rd, 2025. Okay. And Dave Bautista has said that he will not play Bane in an upcoming Batman film because he's essentially too old. And since they want somebody to be around 8 to 10 years, or even worse, 15 years, he's already knocking on 60, and he cannot, physically, he cannot get to the level to really play the role that he really wants to. Speaking of Batista, I saw an interview.
He's going to be Lobo.
Well, I think Mamon's going to play Lobo, but that's besides the point, I saw an interview with him, I think Entertainment Weekly or Variety or one of those, that he mentioned that the casting director who got him on Guardians of the Galaxy mentioned the actor Lee Pace, who played Ronan the Accuser, on how Lee Pace is such a great actor that he can do many roles and Pushing Daisies, a bunch of many roles. I don't want to get into all of his roles, and that he is a great actor that can do anything. Batista said, you know what? You're right. He could do anything. And that he patterns himself after actors who can do anything. A little, not a direct jab at The Rock, but quickly, Batista.
No, but he has not been shy about making his statements about The Rock, that The Rock is not an actor, that he himself aspires to be an actor, a real actor, not a muscle-bound freak who plays the same role, essentially.
Exactly. He wants to be a thespian and not just an action star.
which in his last movie, Knives Out, on the two, he basically is a muscle bound social influencer.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So I mean, he did his role well. I have not seen him in the latest one. He's in the Knock at the Cabin, right?
so I
And
really want to get ready. The Dead Dudes will be there live to watch that, to review that,
coming soon.
coming soon. And a couple of tidbits. Well, the news we have announced that or it's been announced that Bad Boys 4 with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence will be made. Yippee.
The five people out there who are hanging on a needle, waiting for that to come out. There you go. Enjoy.
And for all the good stuff, or all the good many plenty shows that the streaming services has given us, they giveth and yet they taketh away just as easily. 4 new cancellations. Thank you, but we will not need another. Kindred on Amazon, gone. Reboot on Amazon, gone. American Gigolo on Showtime, gone. And Let the Right One In. I could have told you that. Gone. So if you're watching those, stop watching them because you're never going to get a resolution.
Oh my God. 4.5 tears were shed.
4.5 tears. So what are your, closing thoughts?
Well, there's a couple of big thoughts of the DCU which was not addressed. We already touched on a few of them. I understand they're not going to divulge everything, but he made no mention, I guess, of the villains. Something that I thought DCU dropped the ball on big time is they didn't introduce the Legion of Doom at all.
Well, the rumor was they were going to, Zack Snyder was going to introduce the Legion of Doom. There were deleted scenes. We had Deathstroke talking to Lex Luthor. I think, actually, I do believe broke him out of prison, and there was talk about having the Legion of Doom in the next.
That's a big one. That could have been like a own standalone. Another standalone they could have done, not mentioned, is Lobo. Like you said, Lobo, I think, would cross many generations and many demographics because he's a freaking biker bounty hunter. I mean,
Yes,
just that alone, there's going to be more people to tune in than
way.
hardcore comic book or superhero movies.
Yeah, so.
And I get the whole drive to go younger and fresher because you have this 10-year extended plan. But it's not like he dropped any names of who these people are.
I mean, I'm pretty that they're doing the due diligence and trying to get those names now, but they're not finalized. And honestly, I wouldn't even know where the hell they would even start, man. You're talking about 8 to 10 years. So you're talking about, geez, if Batman Part 2 is coming out in 2025, in 2 years from now, okay? Almost 3 years from now, because 23 just started. Okay? 2.5 years, whatever. And then you're talking about Superman Legacy, also in 2025, right? You got to start filming that fairly soon. You got to get the cash, you got to get the money, you got to get the
script.
Yeah, the script, which he's working. He did mention he was working on it. He's very happy about it. And you got to start getting cookie.
You would assume
cookie,
You would assume that you should start looking at prominent rising star actors who are late 20s to young 30s.
How would you mean? But that's the whole thing. Do we know how young they want to go?
Well,
I mean,
they did say younger, fresher. I'm considering that target age group because you're not going to change drastically from 29 to 39, but you will change a lot more from 35 to 45.
okay, but at the same time, he's talking about 29 instead of talking about 24.
I mean, you could do 24, but I think from 24 to 34, you might change a bit.
But that's the whole thing. Are we talking about a DCEU that is fresh, is just brand new, or we're talking about a grizzled or a pre-existing DCEU where everything is going on and we're just we're hitting the ground running.
Well, let me ask you, as a big comic book head, and we still don't know whether he's going to stay very close to canon or do his own thing. If you're going to address it with the big hitters in a present timeline, you're going to have obviously a Wonder Woman who's ageless.
Okay.
You're going to have a Superman who has to look a chiseled hunk. Batman doesn't care so much, but in the same timeline, he has to be an older gentleman.
I mean, does he? Does he really?
Well, if you go by the Batman timeline, he doesn't become this superhero in his mid 20s.
Well, he does. I mean, that's the
Well,
whole.
he doesn't he spend a good amount of time overseas training and
Well,
then coming back
you figure at earliest he comes back, he begins to fight
late 20s.
probably at least mid to late 20s. But now
Exactly.
we're talking about your introduction, the Brave and the Bold. You introducing Damian Wayne, and if you're going to go by the comics, and again, I mean, but he did make a point to say that it's all going to be connected. So if you do that, then you're talking about at least he's got to be 13, 14 years old, Damian Wayne. If not a little older, let's say 13. Okay.
Right. Well, he's gonna be a young 20s who can look younger.
Yeah, because the character's gonna have to be what? I mean, probably early 30s, he has to be.
Yeah. And then let's speculate if they're going to do other people,
Oh,
if they're going to do
like,
a cyborg, if they're going to do a Robin's got to be late teens.
well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Damian Wayne. We're talking
He can't be a Batman at 30 years old and have a sidekick who's 6 years younger. You know,
well,
who's his ward? That ain't gonna happen.
his
There's some laws broken there.
yeah, but his son, who's Robin, who's Damian Wayne. Now,
Yeah, but exactly. But there's got to be an age gap, a huge age gap.
so if Damian is 13, 14 years old, Batman has to
Then
be
he's got to be young 30s, the minimum. Unless he was getting it on early on, and when he was, like 15 years old.
at least 30 years old. I mean, and again, let's get it on, you know what I mean? But probably, yeah, probably mid 30s. So you talk about a already battle worn, you know,
And again, that's speculating just the Gotham City proper, right? And the Metropolis proper. With the Lantern Corps, you're talking about intergalactic, other villains, and other timelines and other things going on there. Well, it's interesting. Okay, I kind of get it. Let's say something. Let's not say too much, but let's say something to keep relevant. Especially meanwhile, Marvel's not saying anything right now. They're not making any noise. The only big noise on the airways right now is The Last of Us and a few other shows. So it has a strategically good timing to come out with some statement
well,
to
look,
kind of get you a little hooked.
Marvel's putting all the eggs in their basket because now here comes Kang, and here comes the beginning of the next big bad. We saw him in
Which
Loki,
then, yeah, it's going to be the Wasp, right? That's going to be the next big.
the Wasp. In Quantumania, we're going to see a version of Kang. Is it Kang the
Which
Conqueror?
they promise to be ultra uber evil.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, I can't wait to see the Council of Kangs. That's going to be just. And people don't. I hope, and I know this is going to sound bad, a little elitist, a little gatekeeping, but I hope people get it because it's going to be awesome. The Council of
Yeah.
Kang.
What you hope they get is that it's not in all awesome strength and power. It's in the
He has
intellectual
no.
madness that he has. You
He is
know,
a man who has took over time and has all the power of time and all the knowledge of the future and the past.
His power, his leverage, if you will, is of course the time power, but the sinisterness and the deviousness of which he plots everything 1,000 steps ahead of time. So
Yeah.
he can pretty much predict where his enemies are going to do, what moves they're going to make next, and counter it. That intellect level nobody's ever seen.
Exactly.
And apparently that's going to be showcased in Quantumania.
Which we're gonna see probably the end of the end of the Ant-Man. But
That's the speculation if you have seen the trailer.
going on a tangent now. Back to the DCeu. So all in all, that's what he had. So
So, I mean, that's good stuff. It's good breaking news stuff, and you heard it here first from the Deader Dudes, bringing you earth-shattering news as it comes down the pike. I'm excited because don't want to sound like a hater. I'm not a hater, but it kind of sucks to have only one show in town. You know what I mean? For good or for bad, or for whatever you want to say it, it's not their intention, but it's almost like they monopolize the airwaves with the superhero genre when there's others out there. Yeah, you'd hope others would make a claim to challenge, but it's just not happening. You know, although I think the Marvel machine is losing a little steam.
yeah, well, that the topic for another day.
So let's hope. I'm hoping for our benefit that the DC major ass, that it comes on fire and it just blows people's mind to say, "Oh yeah, you think?"
I mean,
It only makes it better on both sides.
everybody,
Maybe Marvel's kind of lax because they didn't have something to worry about.
right. Well, thanks everybody. Let us know what you guys thought about this, and as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you guys think. I'm Izzy.
Good shit, Izzy, and James Gunn. We trust. Remember, everybody out there, to always save the whales.
Take care, guys.